here's Brody Brazil.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's Brody here live on the YouTube channel. It's about 2:30 Pacific time, 5:30 out east. And yes, I'm here to talk about three things MLB must fix right now. You think about the weeks and months that we're approaching. It's the most dormant time of baseball. Usually there's not a lot of news. There's not a lot to discuss, and things get quiet. But this is the opportunity to fix things so that when the sport hopefully does come back, hopefully near on time in 2021, you can be that much ahead of the game. And the first thing I want to get to here is something I've been discussing for quite some time. It's to make your signature events actually big deals, your showcase events. Think about a couple recent things that have happened. The Gold Glove Awards. They were announced on Election Day here in 2020. That just doesn't make any sense. And typically, even in traditional times, whoops, we're live. That's a mistake. Even during traditional times, MLB's draft is hosted on the same day and night as other MLB games. It's not its own thing. I understand that it's a busy baseball schedule and you can't necessarily just stop everything for a draft. And it's hard. It's hard to sequence in everything and make it all happen. But how about something like holding the MLB draft in July, just a little bit later, and having it take place in one of the days of the All-Star break? It makes a lot of sense to make it its own thing. That's something football has done well. It's something the National Basketball Association has done well. Make your events actual showcase events. Let them stand on their own. And also for baseball, give yourself some off-season events. I know they have the winter meetings, and those are going to be in a far different fashion here in 2020. But the bottom line is you have to find ways to be relevant and, for lack of a better word, in the news almost on a routine and regular basis. It's just something baseball does not do well enough right now. So yeah, you have to really build up your events and be a little bit more present with them and make them a lot more obvious and standalone. All right, next thing I want to get to here. Give me 1 second to actually make it happen. Boom, there you go. That's Trevor Bauer, by the way. I'm going to talk about him in just a second. Social media. MLB really needs to get with the social times. Among the big four sports, baseball, basketball, hockey, and football, you realize there are proportionate audiences. So you can't just measure it alone in total metrics and total amount of, followers or likes or tweets or retweets, but proportionately, right? If you look at the sports in their proportions, I think baseball might be one of the worst represented across all the social platforms, not just Twitter and Facebook as well as Instagram, but also here on YouTube. You think about just the amount of players that are actually present and relevant with notable platforms on social media. Major League Baseball, again, proportionately has among the fewest. And that's not a good thing. And I would also say that, what's the reasoning for this? Is it a baseball culture thing? It might be. It might be because you take a look at somebody like Trevor Bauer. He is a central figure. He's sometimes controversial in the ways that he uses social media, but let me just say it like this. Baseball needs more of that guy doing his thing and things like it on social media. The presence, again, the platform. These are things that 10, 15 years ago, all sports could have got away with without having. But here in 2020, and if you're talking about demographics and growing the game and spreading your message and connecting the actual audience to the athletes and players themselves, baseball needs more of this. And I would also say, too, I talked about the cultural issue of baseball. I'm not sure if it's the league that's not influencing players or not helping players give a push. I don't think they're discouraging players to be socially present. But I'm not sure that they're encouraging. And I would also say, too, if you look at Major League Baseball alumni, for whatever reason, it always gets downcast. Former players, what they think of the new age athlete and putting themselves out there, And like I said, connecting with the fans and viewers on a one-to-one basis on social and growing their brands. I hate to say that. I hate that terminology, but that's exactly what's happening. So for whatever reason, MLB has not always embraced it in every respect, but it definitely needs to. And it's not just the players on social media thing. Let me also share this with you. Did you even know that Major League Baseball does not allow media companies and media partners to freely share highlight video clips? That's amazing, right? Now, there are some rules and regulations which do allow it on an occasional basis, but for the most part, you can't just share every highlight clip of a major league game all season long. You just can't do it. It's against the rules. And I feel like that just goes against every possible thing I know about social media and how attention is got and how things get popular and how something gets shared in a very beneficial way. If you're not able to put things out there, if there's only one person that's able to put them out there, and that's Major League Baseball, they're not going to get their brand and message across. That is so different than the NBA, for example. They have no restrictions of this regard. And clearly that's why NBA Twitter, even though the NBA, community may not be the largest like football is, that's why the NBA might be proportionately the best on social media. It's because they don't have these restrictions. And by the way, in all fairness, I should also tell you that the NFL is in a similar way. They do not allow just anyone or everyone to share highlight video clips across social media. Now, that's not to say some people don't do it. They do. They're just doing it illegally when you see that happening. So again, you have to find ways to use these social platforms. And these might sound like a small thing to so many people. This might sound like, it's not a big deal. It's the leagues on social media. Well, like I said before, it's not only a way of building a deeper connection with your audience, to the athletes and the teams and the brands that they love, but it's also free advertising in 2020. Literally, you're able to put yourself on people's radar 365 days a year if you can do it properly. And last thing on this, it's like I said before, the demographic of baseball is an aging one. And it's always been an older one, so I don't know that that's unsustainable. I don't know that that's the biggest issue. But if you're trying to broaden your audience, if you're trying to grow it to new places, on the spectrum of people and ages and a lot of different breakdowns, putting it on social media is going to help you greatly bridge that gap. Right. So I think I've made my point there on social media. That's an important one. Obviously, you're here watching on Twitter and then YouTube, but on Twitter, you're also there probably too. But last and certainly not least, minor league baseball is due for some major changes. And as everybody knows, there was not even a minor league season in 2020. And to be honest, I have no clue what's even possible for 2021. And because of the pandemic in a lot of different ways, but specifically the financial side of it, franchises, minor league baseball franchises were decimated. That's a word that's been used, quite honestly and accurately to describe it. The entire Major League Baseball ecosystem right now is basically decimated. I don't know the percentage of layoffs across the board, but let me just say this. It's probably only a small handful of people right now who are still getting paychecks from minor league baseball. That's not good. And we also don't know the effect of not having minor league baseball in the long run. We don't know how exactly this is going to play out in effect of Major League Baseball, in an effect of pipelines and drafts. And you've cut this off because you had to, and you can keep the major leagues going. But like I said, eventually at some point, having a depleted minor league system, a minor league ecosystem, that might catch up with the actual major league level. But also with this basic shutdown, I really feel like it's a great time to reassess some things and to actually reform the minor leagues. Because let's be honest, it wasn't perfect before this. There are some things that need attention. And the ones that immediately come to my head are this. Minor League Baseball before might have been too watered down. Like too many teams, too many players, just too massive scale into actually setting a goal of, right, we're going to try and help all these players be valuable to our franchise and our minor league system, and hopefully our major league system someday. It just seemed like there were way too many teams spread out. Minor League Baseball seems like it got a little bit too bloated over the years. And because of that also, way too many affiliation changes over the years. And I understand major league teams are trying to set themselves up geographically for the best case scenario and, have the best partners and make the best situation work out. I totally understand that. But lately, in recent years, it just seems like a game of musical chairs. And that doesn't necessarily help those minor league cities or teams or ballparks. Having stability in that regard, I think, really does make a difference. And then I've skipped over this, but it is definitely this not because this is a level of unimportance. This is one of the most important things. Player compensation and accommodations across minor league baseball. And I'll explain this in detail in just a second, but let's just put it like this. I understand these guys need second jobs. I understand that it's part of being a minor leaguers. It may not take care of you on a full-time year-round basis, but there's no reason that these minor league players should have to be 5, 6, and 7 at a time living in one apartment building or condo unit, and having peanut butter and jelly sandwiches as their post-game spread on a regular basis because that's all that, financially it makes sense. It's not right. For a multi-billion-dollar business like Major League Baseball, and this is the feeder to it, you have to do a much better job of helping out the minor league level. And then last but not least, the problems I was talking about before, one of the other ones is just minor league baseball overall probably not profitable enough so that when they did run into a problem like this, they're not stable. They're not able to really survive through a pandemic. So what is it exactly I'd like to see here with minor league baseball? Number one, and I rarely ever suggest this, I rarely even like to think about this in any kind of sports as a business, but contraction to a reasonable extent seems like one of the best ways to go here. For example, what do I mean by that? I don't mean every team, I don't mean every league needs to cut in half. I'm just saying that not every big league team needs like multiple AA affiliates. That seems like it's overdoing it. That seems more than redundant. Even the fact that there's a single A, that there's a high A and a low A for single A, again, some more structure here. Tightening things up, I think, is going to go a long way for baseball to be more organized and more profitable. So contraction to a reasonable extent is probably one of the starting points. I think after that, you look at long-term agreements, what's possible to lock in a major league franchise to their single A team and city for 5-10 years at a time. I think that's going to add stability to business models. It's going to help the fans relate better. It's going to help the sustainability of these teams and these businesses in smaller markets across our country to know that they're going to be tied to the Chicago Cubs or the Milwaukee Brewers or the St. Louis Cardinals, for the next 3, 5, 7 years. I really do think that's a big deal. I also talked before about, the player compensation as well as their accommodations. And again, I'm not suggesting that, teams in minor league baseball need the charter jet. I'm not suggesting that they need to stay at the Four Seasons or that they need a 5-star hotel. It's not that at all. I'm not saying, upscale the minor league lifestyle. And to a certain extent, yes, I am, but I'm not saying make it like the big league lifestyle. I think that's something you earn at the big league level. It's one of the things that these players immediately notice as a difference. It's part of the accomplishment of making it to the show. But again, there's such a difference. There's such a contrast between the major league level and the minor league level where these guys are basically collegiate, living collegiate lifestyle athletes into their 30s and even late 30s for some of the guys who actually never make it. There has to be a better way to compensate these guys. Do I also think that it's okay they have, winter jobs? Of course. Look, a minor league baseball player, it should pay you well enough to get through the months, the weeks and months you're working. Am I suggesting that it should be it should be a millionaire's job to play minor league baseball? Not necessarily. And if you want to have a second job and career going, it's probably the best thing for everybody anyway, because eventually your baseball career is going to come to an end. But I'm just saying it shouldn't be hard times for anybody in minor league baseball. Let's just simply say it like this. They should be taken care of to a reasonable extent that they're not being taken care of right now. All those things put together are going to improve minor league baseball as a business. All of those things are, again, these are investments that Major League Baseball is going to have to make. And I know it's not going to immediately pay off. They're going to say, well, why are we doing this? Why are we going to dump more money into the minor leagues? Look what it's done for us before. Yeah, this is the opportunity for it to be different. So just to recap, Major League Baseball, this winter, get on it. Think about your next year of events. Try and strategize those to be actual big-time events. Put baseball on a bigger scale and map than ever before. Get your social media in order. Cut some of the old ways of thinking and doing things, and help influence players that want to be out there, that want to be on the stage in their personal and professional life. Help them get there. Help them do that. Encourage it. Don't just sit idle and let everybody do what they want. And then last but not least, major changes for minor league baseball. Really think all of that is so important. Quick reminder, if you already don't, I'm on social media and follow me there, Twitter, Instagram, occasionally Facebook, and also check out the podcast. It's available on Apple, Spotify, and Google Play. I put quite a few of those out on a regular basis. So until then, I'm doing some of these videos live, a lot more now than pre-recorded and pre-produced. So they might come across as a little bit more off the cuff and have some mistakes, and they may be a little bit more loose, shall we say, than nice and tight. But it's just the way it goes right now, and tell me if you like them. So I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.